Hi, my name is Suzanne Barron, founder of Illuminati Exposed. You can purchase my books on Amazon. They're $9.99 for the Kindle option. They're $14.95 for the paperback option. They are free for Kindle Unlimited subscribers. If you're not a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, you can get a free 30-day subscription, and this way you can read the books for free. I say this in all my clips. I was speaking with somebody at work today. He is just mentioned a couple times. We started talking about scripture, and he's a believer in God. He believes in God, and he knows a little bit about scripture. And what's striking to me is today I was talking about how I hear voices, and he said he hears voices too. And it's actually very common that people hear voices. Some people have havoc in their life, which is why they go and they seek help, because these voices are causing a mass amount of havoc on their lives, and I've experienced that. And so they seek help for that reason. But there's a lot of people out there who don't have havoc voices. I no longer have havoc voices. They're not like, sometimes they're heavy, sometimes they're hard to understand. But they're not convincing me there's women and children. They're not convincing me that the FBI is stalking me. They're not doing those things anymore. But this gentleman, he says he hears voices, and I've spoken with a lot of people, and they don't know what it is. They say, what did he say today? I can't really remember. Like it's your inner conscience or whatever, and some people just say, I don't know. They don't really know exactly what it is, or they believe it's something else. And I'm like, okay, well, how am I supposed to convince the world that I know what it is when everybody's got their own beliefs? But then again, everybody's got their own beliefs about the Bible, too. And then, like the gentleman that I was speaking to the other night, that I sat down with him, the guy that was walking past my house, and I asked him for help with my mom's windshield wiper for the back. He hears voices, and he doesn't know what they are. It all boils down, all comes back to they don't know the Bible. They know a little, quote some scriptures, but they don't know it completely to understand that these voices are in the Bible. They're in the Bible. And it is spirits that are talking to us. It's spirits. And there's some people that are like, well, I thought I heard my grandmother, or I thought I heard my husband passed away, or I can't really say. I had three different spirits come to me. One was my grandmother, but it wasn't my grandmother. She called herself Meemaw, and my grandmother's name was Meemaw, my dad's mom. But where she messed up was she told me that I was born in San Francisco. I'm not born in San Francisco. I was born in Houston, Texas. So thereby going to 1 John 4:1 to test them, find out which one's of truth and which one's of error. I had my good friend, a voice, a spirit. It was a spirit came to me, said he had overdosed, and I was to look for his truck because he had a car. He had the dog Willow, and the windows were rolled up. That he had overdosed, and I needed to find him. I searched for 3 days. I found no error in that voice. It sounded just like him. Now, my grandmother's voice, I couldn't really recall what her voice sounded like. So, any voice the spirits used, I would have believed, except for the fact that it said San Francisco. And I don't conjure this stuff up in my own mind. Anybody that hears voices, we don't conjure this stuff up in our own minds. These voices come to us. So, my friend, I searched for 3 days. I see him alive and well at a gas station. So obviously that was not his voice. I had another voice come to me. It said it was my friend Megan. She had passed away of heroin overdose. She actually did pass away of heroin overdose about 5 years back. She's my best friend. I grew up with her in school. And it sounded just like her. And I spoke to her for a few days. And the thing about it is I found no error in her voice or anything she said. So I don't know. Could that have been her? I don't say this to be confusing. It is confusing. I don't say it to sound confusing or to confuse you. just stating obvious that I'm still confused sometimes myself, because nobody's teaching me these things. Nobody is teaching me anything that I am preaching to you. Nobody is teaching it to me. And they're not just ideas, because they're truth. So if we were to think about in the Bible where we can get an example of a spirit talking to someone, and I'm not saying these people aren't real. I'm not saying that spirits of the Lord can't talk to us. And I'm not saying that wasn't my friend Megan. I'm just saying that the Bible does show some stories about this. We have Jesus on Mount of Transfiguration. He spoke to Moses and Elijah. Now, Moses and Elijah had been dead long before this event took place, long before it. And yet, the apostles were able to recognize that that was Moses and Elijah that was speaking to Jesus. Now, they heard spirits of dead people having a conversation with Jesus. They not only heard it, but they saw them as well. And they wanted to pitch a tent. They said, it's good for us to stay here for a while. Let us pinch up 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, one for Elijah. So how did they know that that was Moses and Elijah? How did they know that? And my point on this is the men have been dead for a long time. How did they know that that was them? Did they have recorded audio? They never spoke to those people. There's no way that they could have recognized their tone of voice. They weren't there when they were alive. They didn't have pictures, photographs. Even paintings wouldn't have looked like the right person. Not in that time. People weren't that talented back then. How did they know? It's because of what they said. Moses and Elijah held a conversation. It was what they spoke that they were able to understand that was Moses and Elijah. Do I think that that was my friend Megan? Do I think that was really my friend Megan? I don't know. Again, I'm not saying this to be confusing. I'm not saying that I'm discrediting what the Bible's teaching, because I do believe that 100% was Moses and Elijah. They're speaking to Jesus. They're spirits of the Lord. They're prophets of old, both of them. And they were holding conversations with another prophet. In my book, I've disclosed how Loretta Lynn, she, I think her dad's aunt, or maybe it's, no, see, I can't even remember that. It was Lady Gaga, who's her dad's sister, so it was her aunt, had died. She never met her, but that she is speaking to her. She's like, she's instilled her spirit in her. I believe that that would be more like my grandmother, just somebody that just come along, a spirit that come along and tried to convince me that they were who they say they were. There's a big reason as to why, like, I post all these confusing things that I'm dealing with in my own head that I struggle with to try to piece together. Because I'd like to find other people who have the mindset that I do, that understand that what they are experiencing is spiritual, and they can find the voice of Jesus in all of the voices they got going on, to find the voice of God in them, because they are spirits, and God is a spirit, Satan is a spirit, and the prophets spoke to God, or the false god, which is Satan. A voice comes to these prophets, whether they're false prophet or a prophet, and they speak to them. They are spirits that are speaking to these people. These prophets of old, all throughout the Bible. Prophet, 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 prophet. A voice that nobody else can see nor hear. Schizophrenic people hear a voice that nobody else can see or hear. They are spirits. It's not just spirits like the world. You have to, please don't take offense to any of my videos. I say the world. I don't really know. I don't really know what people think about spirits. I've never really believed in spirits. I've went to church my entire life, and I never believed like spirits being like ghosts, like something, because nobody taught me these things. Nobody's taught me any of these things, but I can see it perfectly clearly in the Bible because I've experienced them. I had posted or made a video the other day, and for some reason it didn't have the audio in it. It didn't accept my audio, and I wish it had, because it was pretty good. It was a good one. I cried. I got real emotional. I put a lot of passion into that one. But there are days that I worry that I am preaching this the right way. I really do worry about this, because ultimately I'm looking to the right God, but I'm struggling myself. I'm struggling because nobody's teaching me these things, and I'm having to go every single day and figure these things out by myself. And I literally walked through hell, and I saw visions, and I heard things, and I drove all over America, and I it was the realest thing I have ever experienced in my life. The realest thing I have ever experienced, and I cannot stop thinking about it. I cannot not move past it. It's the word. That's not what that's not it. Like, I don't have the words for it. It's all I can think about, because I know there are people out there who are suffering like I once suffered, and who can I'm at a loss for words, who can beat it. Who can beat it, and it really is spiritual. It's spiritual. And it was Satan that caused the havoc on my life, and I fought. Okay, I fought for my life. For my physical life, I fought for it, because the voice told me to put a bullet in my head. It was trying to take my life by my own hands. It tried to get me to do things that I should not have done, like kidnap my daughter. I kidnapped my niece. It tried to get me to put a bullet in my boyfriend's head. It wanted to lock me up or take my life. A real voice. A real voice. And seeking help, nobody's going to tell you that the voice is real. And you hear it, and nobody can help you with it. And I want to help people with it. And I have no like-minded people around me to talk about these things. And there were some, like my neighbor, even the gentleman today, like, we're not on the same page. And it's hard to talk to people like that, because we're not on the same page. I had another commenter on my book. She read it. My mom shared it with me. She said it was a good book. And I'm not just saying that. I've had 3 readers to the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. It's not a big number. No, it's not. Just the book just got out. And advertising is not easy. And I'm not trying to pitch this as a sales pitch. I would like to make some money, obviously, because I want to donate the books into the jails. And the books are going into the jails, but I'm not going to get feedback from that. I'm not going to get any feedback from those people in jail, because they're in jail, still locked up, if they even get the book right now. I don't know how long it's going to take for them to get it. But if you buy the book, the money goes toward, not in my pocket. It doesn't go in my pocket. The money does not go in my pocket. It goes to the jails. If you don't want to spend the money, there is a free option. A free option for you. Kindle Unlimited. I guess another thing, there's a very strange, very unusual post on my YouTube page. It is an audio recording of my computer. It's ambient noise, and I just threw it in there. It's not something I want to focus on, because I don't want the world to be like, this girl's like lost her head. But if you're somebody who believes you hear chattering through your computers, or if you're somebody that believes the FBI or whatever is somehow like two-waying your devices, or tracking your devices, and you hear things in them, there's a clip that I specifically want you to watch on my YouTube page. And the reason why I say this is because I hear spirits in it. I do hear spirits in it, and showed a girl today at work. I was like talking to her. I was like, you hear this? They have these big hard drive things. I work at fast food, and they've got these hard drive things. It kind of like controls all the little buttons and computers and stuff, screens all over the place. And it was like doing some kind of weird, like clicking, 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 clicking. But inside the clicking, I could hear the spirits. And that's what a typical schizophrenic symptom is. And for somebody who doesn't recognize what that is, and for me at first, I didn't recognize what it was. I was like, what is that? It's really scary when you don't know what that is. But now I hear it all over the place. I hear it at Winn-Dixie coolers. I open up the coolers. There's chatter inside the coolers. A normal, not a normal person, but somebody who doesn't understand it will think that that's the FBI tracking them, that they put some kind of bugs and they follow you to Winn-Dixie or Walmart, or they're at your job and they're in the computers, and it just, you don't know what it is, but you know what you're hearing. And you have no clue. And that's where the demons, they use that against you because they think it's funny. But I expressed that to her today. I told her I'm not afraid to admit this to people. I hear voices in it. She said her mom does too, but her mom can't work. She can't function in life because she's afraid. Not high. I don't take medication for this. This is how it happened to me in my sobriety. Yeah, I have drug history in my past. And that's a big excuse. Okay, well, your drug history is the effect to this. Well, there's millions of people out there who go through this who have never touched drugs. I need to reiterate that to understand this, okay? There are millions of people who are experiencing the exact same thing, and they have not once ever taken any form of drugs. How could it be the drugs if those people experience the exact same thing? Now let's go to another term. There are millions of drug addicts out there in the world who don't experience this. It is not the drugs. It is, yes, the life that you live. For those Christian people, it is the life that you are living. You have sin in your life, you have demons in your life, and that is why you have havoc. And it attacks those people who are, as society labels as sinful people, because they do not know the word of God, or they do not believe in God, and they are easy targets for the demons. They're like the man in Mark 5, a speaking demon named Legion. Speaking demon. A demon who was invisible, spoke words to Jesus, held a conversation with him. There was no human or voice. He spoke to something that nobody else could see or hear. This is the answer. This is not an idea. I believe in this. I believe in this. Many times you hear a voice speak to a prophet. The problem is, and there were more than one prophet at a time. There are more than one prophets at a time. The problem is our world does not believe in society today that prophets do still exist. I have spoken to a couple of people. They say because the law was fulfilled, Jesus came to fulfill the law, and that's why there's no more prophets. Well, Jesus died, and then Paul actually talks about, I believe, in Acts, after Jesus died, other prophets. He told the Corinthians, I believe it was Corinthians, he said to want the spiritual gifts, especially prophecy. Meaning that there were still prophets after Jesus died. And that it is a spiritual gift. And that there could be more and more and more and more. It never says prophets no longer exist. A prophet heard a voice that nobody else could see nor hear. Whether they're a false prophet or a prophet of God, a voice came to this person and they could not see it, nor nobody else could see or hear it. Only the person who was a prophet was able to hear the voice. We know this to be true. I hear them right now. All the time. All the time. I'm no longer hiding from them. It can be very difficult sometimes to live life like this. Yes. Sometimes, yes. I'd say mostly because right now, like I crave it now. Is that bad? No. Why would I not crave it? It's God. It's no longer Satan. It was. See, I don't think Satan realized that I would beat it, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm pretty impressed with myself, okay? Because there's no greater battle than what I went through, and I beat it. There is no greater battle than what I went through, and I did beat it. But I'm not the only person who can. Thank you.